I don't feel like the Vancouver Canucks got a good return on their buck for
Nope.
JT Miller, Kev. I'm not sure I like the trade for the Vancouver Canucks. So they lose JT Miller, who, of course, is back in New York, where he was many years ago, now wearing number 8, because, of course, you were not going to take away Artemi Panarin's number 10.
No.
So he's been traded for Philippe Thiel and Victor Mancini, a first-round pick. Also to the Rangers, Eric Brandstrom and Jackson Dorrington. All due respect to Philippe Thiel, who showed some flashes in the National Hockey League, but I insist flashes. And now you give... I was gonna say a number. JT Miller is no like normal second line center. He's a 100-point scorer in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
And you lose that guy for a lot of uncertainty, in my humble opinion. So maybe they think clearing the room will be good for the team. I don't know, but you know what? We heard they rejected Mika Zibanejad for Miller 1-for-1. I would have preferred Mika Zibanejad if I'm the Canucks, but hey, what do I know?
Yeah, well, I think it's also about like age, and you mentioned the locker room.
Yeah.
I think this way they're having players that are a little bit younger. Philippe Thiel will be useful. Scored in his first game for Vancouver on Sunday against Detroit. They ended up losing that game, just like the Rangers ended up losing the first game with JT Miller, even though he scored 2 goals. And then on Sunday, he's got 2 assists. So it's a good debut for both players with their new teams. But when I'm looking at these trades, of course, there's the aspect of the Jim Rutherford last week saying there's no good solution. That did bring the price down, right? Everybody knew that JT Miller was about to be traded.
A very valid point, yeah.
Yeah, so the price is down because you're in a situation where every GM knows you need to move him. He's got a 15-team no-trade clause, so very short window of where he wants to be moved. And of course, New York was maybe the only destination possible for JT Miller, where that's where he's been drafted, that's where he played in his career before being traded to Vancouver in 2018. So you have a lot of one destination, one possible outcome, and that does mean that the price, well, you won't get the true market value. You'll get whatever you could, and that's what happened.
You know, I'm looking at the Canucks lineup now, and the thing is, what was once a very, not only deep forward group, but also a very talented forward group led by Miller and Pettersson. I look at right now, and I'm not sure about the depth of it anymore. And they have, like, good secondary player. I love Kiefer Sherwood. I think Dakota Joshua is a very interesting player, but suddenly I feel like it's kind of thin behind Elias Pettersson. We'll see what the Canucks do with this. There are rumors surrounding Brock Besser. But what is most interesting with the Canucks is that on Friday night, they also traded Vincent Desharnais and Danton Heinen to the Pittsburgh Penguins in return for Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor. Number one, the Vancouver Canucks are going full Thanos here, collecting Petterssons like they're Infinity Stones.
So they're missing.
So you got now two Elias Petterssons and Marcus Pettersson. Beautiful.
So they're missing 2, and then they have the full gauntlet, right? So 2 more, and then they can snap the team into victory. But
amazing.
Let's be honest, the Desharnais situation hadn't panned out this year in Vancouver.
No,
fortunately
for him.
He was not playing well. I think he had 4 points this year before being traded in 37 games and was becoming more and more an healthy scratch. He's far away from the Desharnais we've seen with Edmonton last year, where he was used sometimes as a 7th defenseman, but also bringing some stability here and there and some gumption. That didn't pan out, and neither did Danton Heinen this year.
Yeah, and with that, Desharnais, Sprong, and Heinen, the 3 July 1st signings from the Vancouver Canucks are all gone. And it's funny because I have a friend who's a Vancouver Canucks fan. And in the group chat, I think it was on Saturday morning, he went back to a text he sent back in July saying, man, I hate those moves by the Canucks. And when the trade happened, he went back to it and sent it back and said, yep, told you so. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, you know, we say it. Sometimes you got to be very careful on the market, on the free agent market. That's why some GM do not like July 1st. And yeah, the Vancouver Canucks bit the dust on all their signings from last July 1st. All of them gone during their first season. That is, to me, I don't remember ever seeing that. That is quite interesting. We'll see where the Canucks go from here. Of course, they are in a tight and incredible playoff race in the West. At the moment we are talking, despite only 4 wins in their last 10 games, they are the first, they are just out of a playoff spot, 2 points out behind the Calgary Flames. So despite only 4 wins in their last 10 games, they're still really in the thick of it for the Western playoffs.
And
race.
Just quickly to wrap up on the Canucks, Max, this season of the Canucks, even though they're so close, feels like it's a cluster, you know what. They've been struggling out of the gates. They've been, like, if this was another year, they would have maybe changed the coach, but they just did that last year. They just brought Rick Tocchet recently. And it's a team that is not playing up to the standard. The one player we're not talking about, too, that had a good beginning of the season was Jake DeBrusk. Jake DeBrusk has been missing in action lately. He's been not necessarily scoring to the same level at the beginning of the season. And, of course, you had the Demko injury. They got Lankinen, but then Silov's carriage turned back into a pumpkin. He struggled this year when he was called to play. And despite all of that and all the drama with Pettersson and with JT Miller, they're only 2 points behind a playoff spot. So that's kind of interesting here.
And, you know, I'm one of those person who is not a fan of the loser point. And the Canucks benefit from the loser point more than anybody in the league this year. And it's okay, it's there, it exists, but they have 11 overtime losses this year, so they only have 23 wins. You look at the Flames, who are 2 points ahead, they have 3 more wins. You look at the Colorado Avalanche, they have 8 more wins. So yeah, they really they play tight games. They go to overtime. They defend themselves very well, but they're unable to get that W, and this is what has them in that position right now.